So, roughly half a day ago, she, 26-year-old female, posted her story to get more input on my 34-year-old male request. Her mother, let's call her M, is manipulating her to the point of her being physically ill. A little more explanation on how much her mom, 50-year-old female, is controlling her before I begin. She, let's call her V, gets spammed calls in the morning at work, during work, lunchtime, before work ends, when it ends, and when she is late back from work. Even during the journey back, regardless if V is driving or taking a rideshare. Whenever I hear the call, I know exactly what to expect. A screaming 50-year-old Asian helicopter mom going crazy on the phone. M's tone would be condescending, angry, and highly dismissive of V. It would be so loud that V wouldn't need to put her on speaker to hear M clearly. M wouldn't allow V to go do anything even right now, to the point of V not being able to visit a clinic for a horrible cough she's been having for nearly a week. V's life is just waking around 6 a.m. in the morning, preparing for work, and leaving the house at 7 a.m. to travel to work for around 50 minutes, working till 6:30 p.m. She takes around 60 minutes to get home, where she eats and promptly sleeps around 9 p.m., sometimes later. She, V, doesn't have any social life besides being on some servers to talk with people. Her Instagram is scrutinized by M. Her online presence is non-existent. She doesn't go out unless it's an event like a birthday. And M's sudden out of nowhere whim of, I need a holiday. How V and I spend time together is tough. But I'll keep that private just in case this is found out by M. So, today, shoot finally hit the fan, I guess. I started getting random calls on my private, and when I managed to pick up the call, I could tell it's her mom. We had a 34-minute conversation that went nowhere. M was telling me that I'm not allowed to see V anymore, to which I replied along the lines of, V is an adult and can make her own decisions. I am an adult and don't need your permission to see her. I will continue to see her. M did not take it really well, using my job as a tattoo artist as an excuse. The fact that V and I met on Tinder, and to her mind, I only want to kiss her. I think she meant intimacy, but unable to say the word. V and I had a strong discussion regarding all of this on day one, before even dating officially. I knew what I was signing up for, and I don't regret my decision one bit. V and I made a code of honor, COH, like a set of rules of the do's and don'ts for each other. We shared our insecurities, our expectations of each other, our life goals. We made sure we were compatible emotionally, physically, mentally, and spiritually. M kept repeating things in a loop, accusing me of sowing distrust, taking the words I say out of context, for example. Me teaching V to say no to her mother. I explained over M's shouting that I am supporting V and setting boundaries with M. Under no certain terms do I ever want V to go no contact with M. I know this decision would hurt V, as she still feels love for M and her being a filial child, wants to fulfill some misguided responsibility. I know this is her mother's influence, because M used this exact wording during the call with me. Even with everyone telling V and advising her to go no contact, I know that she will start to hate/blame herself with the guilt she feels for leaving. I explained as articulately and calmly as I could, with no expletives or shouting, and called out M on everything she did and is doing. I explained to her, probably to deaf ears, that she, M, is a good mother, protective of her only child and loving, but in some twisted way, she is going overboard for whatever reason, and using the guise of protecting V to control every aspect of her life. Too much of a good thing will turn bad. She is hurting V without realizing it. She is manipulating V with gifts and holidays during the good times, and using that as ammunition during arguments. Her love is hurting M, and forcing V to quit her job, but at the same time complaining she isn't earning executive-level money is beyond me. I called her a narcissist, gaslighter, rude, and selfish person. I'm unable to contact V at the moment. We never could talk at night because her mom would be there. So I have to wait to hear from V when she goes to work, if she gets to go to work. I don't want to do something stupid like wait there at her workplace and escalate the issue in case M is there, or even go to B's house. So what should I do? I know I was harsh on the phone call, and I feel terrible, and I can't sleep. I'm worried for V. I'm afraid she is physically hurt. V is afraid of the repercussions of leaving this time. Please help. Edit. V managed to contact me, and we formed a solid escape plan, involving the local authorities, government body, women's association, and lawyers. Just waiting for the cray-cray M to not follow her to work, and we can enact the plan immediately. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Your girlfriend is suffering from Stockholm Syndrome. She is her mother's hostage. The only way this stops is if your girlfriend leaves her mother's home and cuts her off. There is no middle ground where she can have her mother in her life without her mother steamrolling her, verbally harassing her, controlling and manipulating her. Her mother will do her best to do the same to you as well. Your girlfriend owes it to you to stand up to her mother so that her mother will not abuse you. If she can't stand up to her mother for you, draw and maintain boundaries with her mother to protect you, then she cannot be a good partner to you or to anyone else because she is completely enmeshed with her mother, will always put her mother first, and is too immature to have an adult relationship. Please consider if this is how you want to live the rest of your life. Please ask your girlfriend to consider if this is how she wants to live the rest of her life. Comment 2. I would get a welfare check on V and explain the situation to the operator. I would do that every time she goes no contact with you. I feel like if you really care about her, that's the only way to do it. By the way, she will never be ready to leave M and live on her own from the get-go. Whenever she feels prepared, you should offer her to move in with you as a start, and while she goes through therapy, she will let you know when she is ready to live by herself. And honestly, I'd want her to live alone for a while before settling down and having her own family. She needs to experience normality and interact with people so she does not perpetuate the behavior in her future family. Now, for the update. Thanks for sticking around for this update. So, the plan we had? It went sideways. V's mom, M, somehow got wind of it. I don't know how, but she did. The day we were supposed to put everything into action, V didn't show up at work. I waited, heart pounding, but nothing. Hours later, I got a text from V's phone saying she was sick and couldn't make it. That was it. No other details. It was so unlike her, and I knew something was off. Turns out, M had taken V's phone the night before and seen our messages. She played sick to keep V at home and away from me. But that's not even the worst part. M had been talking to V's boss, spinning some story about family troubles and how V needed time off. She was laying the groundwork to isolate V completely. I was angry, sure, but I was also scared for V. This was a new level of control. M was not just a helicopter mom. She was a full-blown tyrant. And the more I tried to help, the more I realized I was out of my depth. A few days later, V managed to sneak a call to me from a neighbor's phone. She was whispering, terrified. M had taken her to some relative's place out of town, a sort of family intervention to get her away from the bad influence she claimed I was. V was under constant watch. It was like she was a prisoner. I felt helpless. I wanted to drive there and get her, but V begged me not to. She said it would only make things worse. She was right, of course. M had everyone convinced I was the villain. If I showed up, I'd probably end up in handcuffs. But then, something happened that I didn't expect. V's aunt, who was at this intervention, reached out to me. She'd seen through M's act. She told me how M had been lying about V's father, who had supposedly abandoned them. He hadn't. M had driven him away with her controlling ways, and now she was doing the same to V. The aunt was on our side. She helped V sneak out, and they both came to see me. We were all shaking, looking over our shoulders, but we were together. We talked for hours, making a new plan. This time, we'd be smarter. We'd have to be. V moved in with her aunt for the time being. It was a temporary fix, but it gave us breathing room. M was furious, of course. She showed up at my shop one day, screaming accusations and threats. I kept my cool, but inside, I was seething. She was trying to ruin everything V and I had. And for what? Control? Pride? The next few weeks were a blur of legal consultations and late-night strategy sessions. V's aunt was a godsend. She knew all the family secrets, the leverage we could use. It was a messy business, digging up the past, but we were fighting for V's future. Then, the big day came. We had a court hearing for a restraining order against M. The evidence was all there, the calls, the texts, the testimonies. M showed up, all righteous indignation. But when V's father walked into the courtroom, M's facade crumbled. He'd come back to stand with his daughter to tell his side of the story. The judge granted the restraining order. It was a surreal moment. V was free, legally at least. But the emotional chains? Those would take longer to break. We thought that was the end of it, but M had one more card to play. She'd been funneling money from V's account for years, saving for that holiday she always wanted. V was broke. It was a low blow, even for M. But you know what? We're dealing with it. V's got a new job, one that M doesn't know about. We're rebuilding, step by step. It's not easy, but we're doing it together. And that's what matters. Thanks for reading. Aita for wanting to cut ties with my boyfriend's dad. After his creepy behavior escalates. Hi everyone, I've tried to find people on this subreddit with similar experiences, but I've had no luck, so I figured I would create my own post and see if anyone had any advice. So I, 24-year-old female, have been dating my boyfriend, 24-year-old male, for the past 7 years. It's been a good and healthy relationship, except the fact that I feel extremely uncomfortable around his family. His mom and brother are quiet and we don't talk much. However, his dad has been an issue throughout our relationship. I guess to give some context, my boyfriend's dad is not a good person. According to my boyfriend, his dad has admitted to being a delinquent all his life. He's stolen from friends and family, has done a ridiculous amount of drugs, driven drunk and nearly ended the life of himself in a car crash, and more. In recent years, he's been verbally hurtful towards his wife and kids, has a bad temper, and is aggressive and offensive to anyone who doesn't agree with his opinions. All of this hasn't really affected me other than seeing bits and pieces of his behavior when I'm at their home, but I can't do anything aside from ignoring it. However, in the last 3 years or so, I've started to feel uncomfortable with the jokes or comments he makes towards myself or in general about women. Just to name a few instances, he was pissed off at his wife about something insignificant. And when it was just me and him alone in the living room, he said, "If only I were younger, I'd get with someone like you." Or the many times I've caught him looking at me up and down for too long and calling me pretty. Recently, he started taking pictures of family members, which sounds innocent enough, except that he always finds a way to take photos of me alone, or his younger son's girlfriends, which he chose to print and frame for himself. Then he picks up the photo every once in a while and says, "I don't want to sound like a creepy old man, but these girls are gorgeous." I don't want to sound crazy or dramatic, but there have been several instances where I felt extremely uncomfortable by how he looks at me. I can't even explain it properly. This extends to my boyfriend's brother's girlfriend, as well as other younger women who are considered family friends. He makes constant remarks about their bodies and how they look, and then goes on to compare his wife to us and says she doesn't look as good as we do. Recently, there was a conversation that took place about a new movie with an attractive female celebrity, and he interrupted by saying that she has a fat butt, she's sexy, and that she's all over his Facebook feed, and he loves looking at her in front of his wife and kids. Anytime anyone calls him out on his language or behavior, he jumps to the "I'm joking" excuse, when we know he isn't. Just to add, he also makes it a point to embarrass both his sons on their appearance and says that we as their girlfriends are out of their leagues. My boyfriends can't do anything about it because if he does, his dad explodes and gets angry, which causes the household atmosphere to shift into chaos for a long time afterwards. All I feel I can do is to avoid him as much as possible, but I still feel uncomfortable in their home when he's around. Any advice? Thank you all in advance. Edit to add, the reason I still go to their house is because we are allowed to have privacy in his room. My parents are strict and don't allow me to be anywhere in my home with my boyfriend unless the doors are open. He also can't step foot in my room under any circumstance. As a young couple, we want to maintain a physical relationship, which is why I still go over now. For a few comments before the update, comment 1. The fact that your boyfriend still lives there and has a relationship with his dad is issue number one. There is no way for you to not deal with this unless you don't go. The only way for your boyfriend to not deal with this is to leave and end the relationship with his dad. So you have to decide. Either drop the boyfriend and drop it all, continue going to the house and dealing with it, or you both get a place together. Comment 2. Let's just fast forward for a second and say that you and your boyfriend have kids. Your boyfriend's family is now your family. Is this the grandfather you want for your children? Now, for the update. Thanks for the comments on my last post. Things have escalated since then, and I'm at my wit's end. A couple of months back, my boyfriend's dad got into a huge fight with his wife. It was bad. She ended up in the hospital with a broken wrist, and that's when everything blew up. My boyfriend's mom finally had enough and filed for divorce. The whole family was in chaos, and my boyfriend was torn between his parents. But that's not even the half of it. During the divorce proceedings, it came out that the dad had a secret family. Yeah, you heard that right. He had another woman and kids on the side for years. My boyfriend and his brothers were devastated. I mean, how do you even process that? The man they looked up to was living a double life. The secret family bombshell was a wake-up call for my boyfriend. He started seeing his dad's actions in a new light, especially the way he treated women. It was like a switch flipped in him. He became more protective of me, and he started standing up to his dad, which never happened before. But here's where it gets crazy. My boyfriend's dad didn't take too kindly to being challenged. One day he showed up at our place, drunk and angry. He started yelling and making a scene outside. My boyfriend tried to calm him down, but his dad shoved him. It turned into a full-blown fight right there on the street. The neighbors called the cops, and my boyfriend's dad was arrested for public intoxication and attack. After that, my boyfriend's mom got a restraining order against him. The family home was sold and the money was split. His mom moved into a new place, and my boyfriend and his brothers were left to pick up the pieces of their shattered family. Now, you'd think that would be the end of it, but no. My boyfriend's dad lost his job because of the arrest. He started spiraling, blaming everyone else for his problems. He even tried to guilt-trip my boyfriend into giving him money, but my boyfriend refused. He's done with his dad's manipulation. As for me, I've been supporting my boyfriend through all of this. It's been tough, but it's also brought us closer together. We're talking about moving in together, just to get away from all the drama. And honestly, I can't wait to leave it all behind. So that's where we're at. A family torn apart, a father's betrayal, and a couple trying to build a future amidst the ruins. Thanks for reading. Aita for feeling trapped in my marriage. After my wife prioritizes everyone over me and lies to my family. Hi, gentlemen and ladies. I, 28-year-old male, got married to my wife, 33-year-old female, last year, who is 5 years older than me. I'm gradually losing my self-esteem and suffering from low confidence and inadequacy. I am somewhat introverted and secretly resent her for her actions. I'm confused about her actions if they are normal or abnormal. She says it is normal in every relationship. Following actions, are these normal in marriage? She complains about me to one of her close friends and speaks loudly so that I can hear as well. For example, she complains about how I don't give her enough money to shop. When I ask her, she says her friend also complains about her husband, and it is normal among girls to do so. She complains to her mother and brothers during conference calls about me unnecessarily. She talks about how I don't give her this and that. She starts telling me about my insecurities during the fights, which I have shared with her earlier. She is the one who initiates fights and always has a reason to fight. She blames me and says that due to my actions or inactions, she acts the way she does. She is not earning, and I have been paying for a housemaid and washerwomen for the past 2 years. But when I ask if she would pay if I stop earning, hypothetically, she says she will take care of herself and her child, even though we don't have one yet and not me. We live in another town, and when I ask her to visit my parents' home at least once a year, she starts highlighting how my parents are poor and not cultured, and she can't tolerate them. Mind you, she only stayed at my ancestral home for 2 days after our marriage, before we left. She highlights that I am useless and not worthy, and points out how I lack certain things during fights. However, I am paying for everything, her clothes, studies, food, travel, etc. But on normal days, she acts normal. She used to compare me to her brother and talk about how they treat their wives with gifts and jewelry, while I don't. She talks about how her brother is so smart and capable, even though her brother is the same age as me. She complains about my mother and sister, even though they have never said anything bad about her behind her back. She has not even met my sister after our marriage and doesn't talk to her. But she keeps telling me how they, my mom and sis, must be plotting against her. I don't have any say over her. And when I try to stop her from doing something that makes me uncomfortable, she starts spewing hate against me and my family. She becomes distant whenever someone visits from her extended family and prioritizes them. She tries to avoid me. For example, during dinner, she asks everyone, 4 guest members, about their requirements, except me. I try to tell her about my discomfort, but she laughs it off and says I am taking things too seriously and suggests that I grow up. After our first night of marriage, she shared with me that she wants to control me. It's our love marriage. She disregards my opinion and claims to know the better way. She even complains about me to my mother, and when I ask her why she is doing it, she says it's to act cute before my mother. I have already told my mother how she lies. So, couples who fight, please tell me if this is normal in a fight. How do you people fight in terms of conversation and content? P.S. Asked by my married friend. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. This isn't normal in a relationship, and she is just a selfish woman. You need to be the man of the house and take control. Don't let her walk all over you. Set boundaries. Tell her you're tight on finances and see how she reacts. That should tell you all you need to know about her. Comment 2. No, this is not normal or healthy behavior. It sounds like your wife is being emotionally hurtful. It's important to establish boundaries and communicate your feelings clearly. If her behavior continues, consider seeking couples counseling or individual therapy. Now for the update. Thank you for tuning in again. So, last week was a mess. I thought things couldn't get worse, but I was wrong. My wife's spending has been out of control lately. She bought this expensive dress, and when I saw the credit card bill, I lost it. I confronted her and she just shrugged, saying she deserved it for putting up with me. That hurt. I tried to make peace by suggesting a budget, but she laughed in my face. She said her friend's husband never questions her spending. I felt small, like I was being unreasonable for wanting to save for our future. Then, my mom called. She was upset because my wife had told her some story about me not caring for her health. That was a lie. I always ask if she's taken her meds and how she's feeling. But my wife twisted it, making me look bad. I was fuming. I confronted my wife, and she said she did it to get my mom's sympathy. I couldn't believe she'd stoop so low. Things got worse when she started bringing up my job insecurity during a dinner with friends. She made a joke about how if I lost my job, we'd be on the streets. Everyone laughed, but I was mortified. It was like she enjoyed making me look weak. I tried talking to her about it later, but she just turned it around on me, saying I was too sensitive. I felt trapped, like I couldn't do anything right. The final straw came when she refused to go to my cousin's wedding with me. She said she didn't want to be around my boring family. I went alone, and everyone kept asking where she was. I made up some excuse, but I was so embarrassed. I came back to find her hosting a party with her friends, using the money I'd saved for the wedding gift. I was livid. We had a huge fight, and she said she didn't care about my family or their events. I felt so alone, like I had no partner in my life. I've been sleeping on the couch since then, and I don't know what to do anymore. I feel like I'm losing myself in this marriage. I'm trying to hold on, but it's getting harder every day. Thank you for reading. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.